SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, let us concentrate on another very important aspect of line, how we can use line that we draw on paper or any other surface in terms of its value. So, when we have a line which is even throughout in terms of the light and shade, we can call it even value that is distributed, and the even value will also produce a two-dimensional shape into it. But when we see a line with different value, that has to be also continuous to get the shape right. Now, we will try and see how the value changes, what is value and what is a high value for a particular object and what is a low value thing, and how the high value and low value can also create a contrast. We will see that by making it as we have been doing so far. So, by changing the pressure of our pencil, we can get the sense of a value difference. When we say something in terms of value, like this, that we press the pencil very hard, we release the pressure, make it lighter, and we get a range of value difference. So, the darker it is, the low is the value, and the lighter parts are high in value. So, when we consider things in terms of achromatic gray, which is there is no chroma present. Achroma is no chroma, there is no chroma present, there is no color present there. So, we think in terms of pure value, and pure value is nothing but white and black. White is the highest value color and black is the lowest value color, and all colors, each and every color falls under the range. So, if we make a color darker and more darker, that means we are increasing the color, but we are decreasing the value of that color. So, with the value decrease, it gets more and more darker. So, at certain point the color will turn totally dark, and that is black. In the same way, if we increase the light into it, we keep on increasing its value. So, it becomes lighter, lighter, and at the end it converts into white. So, that is how we change the value. Each color stands somewhere in between. So, the extremes are the black and white, that means the high value and the low value stretch, and the color comes in between. And if we remove the color and we try to see the range of gray there, then we think in terms of pure value, and that is just the gray and white and black, that is the range. So, let us see how the achromatic gray can be applied in a single line drawing, and also to create the surface, how can we use lines as the single unit, we multiply it and we convert it into a surface texture. That also tells us whether the surface is shiny or whether it is matte or it is coarse or smooth, or that way line has its function to also indicate us the quality of the surface, which is connected to another consideration, another element, that is the texturing. Now, these are some shapes which are circular. So, these are circles. Now, the circle can be converted into a sphere when we draw a line here with some modulation. So, here maybe this is the order, they are flat and two dimensional, but then we may increase the pressure. So, we start from this point, make it darker, leave it, That will provide us with some volume. We can keep it lighter, increase the volume again. So, that will create some modulation, and the surface will not remain flat anymore. Similarly, in this particular shape, we can increase certain part in terms of its value. So, this is the highest value area where the line is not at all visible. So, we may guess that there is a light source here. So, we get a light from here, and this part is leaded because of that. So, the other part has to be darker. So, we increase the depth by lowering its value, but this is too sudden. So, we need to create that graduality here. So, in this line drawing, this is the part where no light is falling, and this is the part where we have a shiny highlighted area. Previously, we talked about cyclic light formation, but here the formation is taking a different turn, that when we see that some part is creating a gap, that can also be taken in terms of a shiny surface. So, the surface where the light is more reflective, that can create a high value contrast in it. So, how we see it on the diagram now, that this part is dark and this is very light in color, this is almost reflective. So, this is one area that we can call as a highlighted area, and this is the dark zone. Now, through a line drawing itself, that is sufficient to tell us how the surface texture is. Let us take another complex surface, maybe a vase. So, this is thinner, this is thicker, again it goes thinner and it becomes thick. So, that is how we get some idea how the line should work. Now, when we work on the surface, this is just a line drawing, this is also just the line drawing, but it is suggestive. Let us make another line drawing, some part with a low value, the other part with a higher value, in order to make it spherical. It is no longer a circle, but it looks like it has a volume in it. So, by applying strokes, then with the help of a few lines, this will create the surface. They are the parallel units. Now, we will change the order of the stroke, it will become darker. We can change the order by changing the direction, and it can become very dark through overlapping. The only thing that we will have to keep in mind that it has to be gradual. So, let us practice how to make it uneven. So, now in this point, let us give ourselves sufficient practice to see how we can have a total control over how dark or how small, like light the lines can be. So, if we have a bunch of line of this range, that means we have just have a one time rendering here. We make it slightly darker, we change the pressure, it becomes darker, we increase the pressure, it becomes even more darker, we increase the pressure more, becomes very dark, and also it becomes thick. We can take another round by not changing the pressure, but by overlapping, that is another device. So, here we are controlling the pressure, we are controlling the thickness, but we can also take this way. So, what we are getting is a range where we are going from a high value gray to a low value gray in the range of the achromatic gray. So, the line that we create, they are nothing but some guidelines when we create the surface. We can complete a drawing, as we discussed earlier also, that a line drawing can be complete enough when we have this volume and the volumes are also integrated. So, this much of a drawing can also give us a sense of volume. We can also take up some irregular shape to demonstrate that. We can use other materials and create a shape very conveniently. If we want the depth to be increased by lowering the value, we can make this part darker, we can again make this part darker. The lower part can be very dark if there is no light source at the other side. The curves can also be dark. So, this is how we can get a volume. So, the lines are the guiding factor. When we have a surface like this, if we do not want to keep it like a line drawing, we can take the line as the guidelines for our completion of a surface. So, the line that we will produce in this area should blend with the contour line. So, when this part is blending with the contour line, the importance of a contour line will decrease. So, in a proper rendered drawing, contour line is less important. Let us see how we decrease the importance of a contour line, and rather, to put it this way, that we include the contour line into the surface. So, by changing the direction of the line, when we use line as unit, we can maintain the graduality. So, this is just a step. This is just one step towards converting a circle into a sphere, but drawing can be much more descriptive than this. So, to have a much more descriptive drawing, we should also concentrate on the quality of the surface. That includes which material it is made out of. Now, here if we partially consider this line as one part of a vase, we do not get a clear indication of the material quality. Even for this sphere, we do not know what it is made out of. Now, for this one, if we see that some surface is very shiny, that gives us a sense of a surface that is metallic, but in this case the lines are also soft and thick. So, a soft and thick line will create a surface even in a changing value condition. It will give us a sense of a surface that is less shiny or less reflective, whereas a sharp contour will shine. So, let us see how we can address to this pictorial problem by using the cross hatches over different surfaces. The strokes are very prominent here. So, that will also give us a sense of a surface which is rough and not smooth at all. Now, the same thing we will see how it works on a spherical surface where we are applying some strokes or some texture. The most important consideration here is the gradient. If the treatment is not gradual and there is a sudden lapse in that graduality, then the surface will get distorted, we will not get evenness, and we can just say that there are some depression that has occurred there. So, if we want a sudden dent somewhere, then only we can change the order of applying strokes that we have been doing earlier. So, suddenly if we feel that some parts are whitish, that means the part is swollen. We can also create a part with a dent by increasing the value, by decreasing the value and increasing the number of strokes. So, a surface with an uneven texturing will look dainty, and we must avoid it unless we want it this way. Now, the use of line has to be very meticulous as far as the surface quality is concerned. It is not very easy to make a surface look like a surface that is made out of cloth, or even if it is a cloth, then we can also make difference between the different materials, like the silk will have a different texture than the cotton, or a thick material will look different than a thinner or finer material. We can also create transparency, we can make a surface which is translucent where the light will pass through. So, by changing the different value condition, we can address to many different possibilities. We will slowly see the quality of line that also leads us to another factor, that is texture, that we will also study in the following lectures in a separate term. But right now we are considering the surface quality and how line can give us the sense of surface that is otherwise found in nature. So, through the line and the quality of line, we can produce the sensation that may resemble another particular material that is there in reality. So, this is possible, and when we do that, we are again using line as the basic unit, and by changing the value we are rendering a surface. So, it is all about how we operate the value difference in the achromatic condition, how we operate our gray, and even when we apply color, we use the same principles of application of color, and we think in terms of the value difference, and that way we operate with the value and hence the volume.